Hello there, Commonwealth from. Let's get to 10 plus secret places in the 20th Zelda. Great Sky Island's Temple of Time, but for real, the roof of it. Here you will be challenged to light cauldrons while gliding in the air and using sky waterfalls to avoid the ground. A side quest easily missed, which tests how far you are in the game. You need a Zora armor for the waterfalls, upgraded stamina to cover the gliding distances and arrow time, plus naturally fire fruit or other flammable substances for the cauldrons. A trial which rewards you with items, but also one of the few instances of sky lore shared by the ranger constructs. Speaking of, our next locations, which is a straight callback to Breath the Wild, the Divine Beast and another possible bit of distant, but this time also ancient past lore. The masks of the Divine Beasts, and the only way to see the length of Link's massive mullet in Breath. In Tears of the Kingdom it is hidden well, and most likely you will simply stumble upon them in a remote cave. So here are their locations in Hebra, Eldin, Lanayru, and Gerudo. But what is the lore part of it? That the specters of the sages were the equivalent helmets of the distant past sages, which might hint to who they really were. Meadow, Rudania, Ruta, and Naboris. A detail I forgot to include in my Divine Beast named after Sage's fury. But let's not cry over spilled milk and instead head down to the darkness of the depths. Yep, going through the 3 layers here, so let's head over to Gerudo Desert, and specifically the realm of the Gyptos, where we find the Gerudo graveyard underneath Arbiter's grounds. A Zelda classic that was missing its darker explorable layer in Breath the Wild, but is now truly creepy. The Gerudo Underground Cemetery, a hint of the dark history of the Gerudo, a place where the worst and unwanted might have ended up, and then got mind-infected by fungus, which took control of the host and turned them into Gyptos, much like zombie insects in our own world. The Arbiter's Grounds was a prison, execution and banishing location in Twilight Princess, so we quickly realize what might have been going on here, especially with the Desert Colosseum right next to it. And what was the Arbiter's Grounds based off in Twilight Princess? The original Colosseum of Death and site of Christian martyrdom in the heart of Rome. But up from the depths to the surface, and then west to east, both in our own world and the game's map, where we find the oh-so-Japanese Kakariko Village, a settlement and safe haven with a tragic past for any Yiga defectors. A Sheikah classic found in wells in the Zelda series, as Kakariko Well is back. But instead of revealing a very dark secret, it reminds us of Breath the Wild's. Though it also has an element that Ocarina of Time veterans will notice, as this place combines the layout of Ocarina of Time's bottom of the well and the burial site of the decapitated Bongo Bongo, and at the end of it, the cooking book of Breath the Wild's assassinated wife of Dory. Truly touching, and if you didn't cry when reaching the end of the maze and seeing the Silent Princess above it, will definitely. The revelation of one of Breath the Wild's best multi-stage side quests honored in such a subtle way. A well of light, contrasting the well of darkness found in Ocarina of Time. Let's hope a spirit resides somewhere in the sky, where we also find the only Sky Island shield surfing challenge above Mount Lanayru. Shield surfing has seen a number of upgrades thanks to fusing in Tears of the Kingdom, but sled surfing from Sky Islands brings it to a new extreme. Fun fact, this is the only Zonai Sky Island that is covered in proper snow, and not just the texture on the path to the Rita Wind Temple. What is also unique to this island is that it is the beginning of a Zonai Shrine questline, but unlike the others in the sky, it doesn't end in the sky. Instead, this one drops us down from the sky to shield surf down much of Mount Lanayru through timed rings, much like the ones found in Hebra in the Champion's Ballad. Best of all, it doesn't end with a blessing shrine in the sky, but a proper shrine on the surface. A great example of multi-layer gameplay sequences. Anyway, since we're back on the surface, let's head south to a little warmer and safer place. And in truth, we and Link deserve a little sailing vacation after all that darkness in recent entries. So let's sail out of Hateno after a coastal Neapolitan, but in Hyrule, Hateno Coastal Classic. Pizza. But sail where? The obvious choice is Hyrule's largest island, Eventide, which is a tough challenge, but you also have this bottle in a letter quest. Saving someone is the noble thing to do. but we want to relax first and cruise in style, so before you head for more caves, sail out on your primitive plank to Tenoko Island. Remove the steering stick and fan from your current boat and ultra-hand them to the far more sturdy fishing vessels, just like the ones from the Lorelin village. Wait a minute, was this where some of the inhabitants evacuated after the village was attacked during the upheaval by pirates? It could be the case for the fishermen who couldn't return to their home harbor. Well, their boats are now here for Link, so you ultra-hand yet another fan, and boom, you got a motorboat, one that you can save to auto-build as a favorite and pull out anywhere in Hyrule's 4 seas or even lakes. Cheap to build as well. Auto-build is naturally found in the depths, where we also confront Master Koga, but he avoids the areas with Hylian and Sheikah settlements. That is to say, North and Central Hyrule, Faron, Necluda, and Akkala. Though underneath the last of these provinces we find a number of mines, but none of them are as strange as the one found below Rist Peninsula. A hazardous path or a walk in the park if you use the ultimate vehicle recognized even by Nintendo themselves, the hoverbike. There's naturally a reward at the end of the path, plus a light route to get back if you travel out from here too fast without claiming the armor. Though what fascinates me about this easy to miss place, and this part of Akkala in general, is how ancient and filled with mines it is. Right west of the coastal mine you have the Tari mine and the Uri Canyon mine, and further west the ancient underground fortress. All pointing with the ancient Hylian ruins next to Tari that this was a major urban center in ancient Hyrule, long before Hudson's Tari town and even the current Akkala citadel and its disappointing cave. We depart the depths for the last time in this video and head back to the surface, but let's stay in Akkala and move to its Skull Lake and Cave, which you want to explore as it hides the connection to the child timeline. In Tears of the Kingdom, it can be argued that the canonicity of the past Zelda games does not apply to what we find in the chests of the depths, but the fierce deity set found inside the surface tree roots or effing rocks are. Heck, the armor part itself is found right next to Akkala's citadel, or more specifically, in its summit cave. All in the expanded Breath of the Wild origin layer, and nearly every piece of clothing found here ties to sets that debuted in Breath of the Wild. Only exception being the Fierce Deity set and the Hero of Awakening mask based on the Link's Awakening remake, both from different branches of the timeline. But since we are on the topic of masks, in the Skull Lake Cave you find the Fierce Deity mask, the one that allowed Child Link in Majora's Mask to transform and destroy the bosses of that game. Alright, time for the final Sky inclusion. As one of the most important side quests for lore in Tears of the Kingdom are the ancient Hylian tablets translated by Wordsworth, a questline that is introduced by the fallen tablet in Lookout Landing. Well, guess what? It fell down from somewhere, and something that hints to this fact is that the tablet north from here drops down into a chasm next to Typhloid Ruins when we stand on it, which by the way is also found above central Hyrule. But even after this one falls down, the encircling part of it remains above. So instead of heading down to the depths, we're taking our hoverbike to the highest located Sky Island in the game, one that you absolutely don't need to reach to complete said questline, but which brings you up to where it was hidden prior to the upheaval which dropped it down to Lookout Landing. One single island with nothing on it, but which makes you the king of the world as you have reached the highest located Sky Island in this game. Now before we get too high on ourselves, let's head down to where Link's quest actually started in this game. No, not beneath Hyrule Castle, but by pulling the Master Sword in Korok Forest with Zelda by his side. After clearing the plague of the Great Deku Tree in Great Hyrule Forest, plus seeing the Master Sword cutscene and possibly even heading for the restored one, go inside the Great Deku Tree once more. But instead of diving down to his depths with no light route as, well, he is the light route, ascend and confront the Korok in hiding, one who doesn't pay rent to the Guardian of the Forest. Jokes aside, he brings us all the way back to the beginning on the Famicom Disk System in 1986 and the NES in 1987. It is a secret to everybody. The classic line hidden in close to every Zelda game since. And that, ladies and gentlemen, are 10 secret Tears of the Kingdom places you missed or might have missed in the game. Share your secret locations/places in the comments and you will get a shout out in a follow-up video if selected. If you haven't already, be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell, and do not miss any of our upcoming videos. Last but not least, thank you for watching, and to all our patreon.com/Comeron patrons, with our role producer Charles Shash. You rock, and please enjoy one or both of these two awesome videos.